Welcome back to Friar Talk. Today, we're going to be previewing the Padres Rockies series and then giving some quick predictions on how we think this series is going to play out. So, Friday night, it's going to be Mackenzie Gore against Kyle Freeland. Saturday is going to be Nick Martinez versus German Marquez. And then Sunday will be Blake Snell against Antonio Senzatella. So, I think last series, the Padres, They lost the series last time, if I'm correct. No, they split the series, 4-game series last time. This time around, I do think it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, the good thing is this offense has been red hot. 2 runs away right now from being a top 5 offense in terms of runs produced in the entire MLB, which is something that yesterday on the live stream we were talking about. Very, very shocking considering that there's a couple glaring holes that we thought coming into the season. And there's been some guys that haven't performed for the whole duration of the year, and the Padres have found a way to generate runs. The Rockies series was an absolute just enormous offensive production where you put up 4, 12, 19, and 6. So tons of run production. Going to Coors, this is a stadium where I think we're going to see this series be a lot of runs. So I do think it's going to be a little bit tough for the Padres. Last season, especially, they struggled in Colorado. But I don't know. Isaac, what are you kind of feeling about this series, and how do you feel about these pitching matchups?
Yeah, we know the Rockies play the Padres extremely well. I mean, you look at it from from a team standpoint, they're like 12th in runs. They're somewhere around 15th in OPS. So like they're an okay hitting team. Like we've said multiple times, playing at Coors helps. And I believe when you look at their splits away from Coors, they're like actually a horrendous hitting team. But I mean, nonetheless, we're playing at Coors, so we have to look at it from that perspective. But should also help the Padres. The Padres have had a significant offensive surge since being swept by the Cardinals. They are now 6th in runs. They're above 20th finally in OPS. I believe they're around the same in average. So they're finally starting to produce the runs that, I mean, we kind of didn't expect them to do it very often, but they're starting to do it a lot more often than I think the whole fan base expected. You got the pitching matchups of Kyle Freeland against Mackenzie Gore. I think Freeland had a quality start against the Padres last time, if I remember correctly. Mackenzie Gore against the Rockies was very rocky to say. I mean, nonetheless, but I think he is going to have a good outing this time. It's his first time pitching at Coors. I think he's going to be able to bounce back. Second time facing the Rockies. Hopefully, he's able to bounce back and learn. Hopefully, watch some film to see what was working for him against the Rockies and use that to his advantage. Since it was a very recent pitching matchup for him. And then the second day, I believe it's Nick Martinez against German Marquez. Marquez, for some reason, pitches really good against the Padres. I don't know why. If there's a game I think we're going to lose, I think it'll be that one. I don't think I said I expect us to win Gore's start, but I think this might be the one that we lose. Nothing against Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez has been solid throughout the season. He's consistently put us in a position to win in almost each game that he started, and he's been everything that you could ask from a 5th, 6th, or I guess 7th starter. But I do think that might be the one we lose, and I'm hoping to see something good again from Blake Snell because a lot of people still want him to be traded, and I understand he doesn't look very good right now, but we're heavily against him being traded. We have brought up his post All-Star numbers compared to his pre All-Star game numbers, and I mean, if you wait till after the All-Star break, you're going to get the Blake Snell that we traded for, and I think everyone will finally see his potential. But I think we're going to win that one. I do think we're going to win that one. Senzatella, he's had some good starts against the Padres, but he's not a very good pitcher. He hasn't looked very good this year. I haven't even talked about the team's ERA. The Rockies are overall one of the worst pitching teams in baseball. They are ranked 26th in team ERA, with their starters being around 25th or 26th also, and their relievers being like 27th, I believe. So we should be able to rock that pitching. Hopefully we're able to do it and come away with a 2-1 series win.
Yeah, so I totally agree. I think the one game where there's some question marks offensively would be Saturday, just because German Marquez has been extremely good against the Padres. Already had a quality start against them. Kyle Freeland did as well, but I have more faith in the Padres hitting him. And then Senzatella, I think the Padres will also be able to hit him. So I think you're going to see 2 games where the Padres are going to be able to put up a lot of offense. However, I think this is a tougher series than I think a lot of people are expecting. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Padres actually lost this series like 1-2. I think like you said, I think Saturday's the toughest game. but Mackenzie Gore is coming off of a rough outing. I definitely hope he bounces back, but I'm not expecting him to go out there and pitch how he has earlier this year, just because I feel like it's a completely different dynamic when you're pitching in Colorado. And we've seen that from guys. And then we brought up Blake Snell. Blake Snell was horrible last year when he was pitching in Colorado. And he's still kind of struggling to find himself. His career numbers show that his ERA usually peaks around June. Like that's the highest number where it'll be at. And then come July, it starts dropping. And then basically after July, he's been like a Cy Young caliber pitcher throughout all those months, and also in the playoffs. So I could see all three of these starters getting kind of shredded by the Rockies lineup. But even then, what did we see last series? Padres went down in every single game against the Cubs. Another team with very poor pitching. The Cubs bullpen was atrocious. The Rockies bullpen is atrocious too. So this could be one where it's just really back and forth, high scoring, and a lot different than the Padres baseball that we've seen early on in this year, because so much of it has been going to win this game 3-2, going to win this game 4-3, 2-1, right? Really, really close games where it comes down to the wire and you get a clutch RBI late in the game. This one might be, you win 10-7, you lose 12-4, you win, 11-9, whatever it is. Like these might be really high scoring games. So it's kind of tough to predict. So I think that you're hoping to take 2 out of 3. I think that we talked about both the Cubs series and then the previous Rocky series in San Diego as you want to take 3 or 4 of those 4-game series. I think this one is you want to just get the 2 out of 3. And if you drop 2 of them, not the biggest deal in the world because this team is playing really, really well, but you're going to have bumps in the road. I mean, you're playing a long season. So I'm actually going to say that they drop this series. They lose it 1-2. However, I could totally see an outcome where they end up sweeping the Rockies and the offense just continues to explode. So I think this is a little bit of a tough one to predict just because you don't have Joe Musgrove, you don't have Darvish on the mound, you don't have those guys that, we've seen that have just been awesome this entire season. Now, Mackenzie Gore also has been. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him or sound like I'm knocking him. It's just that he's a younger pitcher. You're going to see the ups and downs throughout a season. And maybe you're going to see a little bit of a couple adjustments that he's going to have to come out of this one and make. But wouldn't be surprised if you take 2 or 3. Wouldn't be surprised if you take all 3. But I'm going to rock 1 out of 2 in this series, just because I think it's a tough one to predict. And I think that the Padres starters it's a little bit rough on this one. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But Isaac, any other last thoughts on the series?
No, nothing much to say. I mean, we did a Rockies preview very recently. It's almost going to be the same thing. They're essentially the same team. The difference is the Padres are I think they're a little hotter right now than they were that last series. I mean, like I said, offensively, their numbers have surged by a lot. I think most of the hitters, if not all of the hitters, have been above average or better this month. So, I mean, they've all been producing for this lineup, and hopefully Mackenzie Gore is able to bounce back. I think that's the one guy I'm gonna be watching the most, because let's see how he does after a rough start against the same team. Let's see how he does. I'm excited to see his start. Essentially, know what you're gonna get out of Nick Martinez, and of course, everyone's gonna be on Snell watch. What the hell is gonna happen with Blake Snell? Because he is a very rocky starter, but hopefully we get the best out of Blake Snell in this series. Yeah, nothing much else to say. I fully expect the Padres to win this one and stay hot. I mean, finally we took over first, so we've been waiting for like a week now. I mean, took long enough, but hopefully we're able to maintain that position in the NL West.
Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of some extra motivation. If I was going to take these 3 games and put them in probability of which ones I think the Padres are going to win, I think tonight's game with Mackenzie Gore is the most likely one to win. I'd put Sunday at 2, and then I'd put Saturday at 3, only because Marquez has been so great against the Padres over the past few years. But the big question I think looming then is, what Blake Snell are you going to get? Say you do drop that Saturday game. So I think that's kind of the one that you're going to determine on who wins this series. But we'll see how it plays out. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully you're right, Isaac, and the Padres take 2 or 3 or all 3 of them in this one. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. So thank you guys all for listening. Final thing I will mention is we're going to be doing a mailbag on Monday's episode. So if you guys want to, we're going to be taking all of these from our Apple reviews. I will comment, and it's also in the description. I will comment our Apple link. If you guys want to give us a review there, ask any questions that you guys have. They can be Padres related, baseball related. They could be other questions too, but kind of depends on what you ask if we're going to bring them up. But really anything you guys want to talk about, and we'll go through all those on Monday. So we did that during the off season. It was super fun, and we're hopefully maybe we'll end up bringing a Monday mailbag back. So that's how you're going to do it. And I will put that in the comment section as well. If you're listening on podcast, if you're listening on Spotify, I'll put that in the episode description there. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. We are probably not going to have an episode out tomorrow, but on Sunday we'll be going live. And then early next week, we'll be talking about some of the Padres' hottest prospects, and then also getting into some draft prospects as well. So a lot of stuff coming up. I'm really excited for that, and excited to hear your guys' mailbag questions. So thank you guys all for listening, and hopefully the Padres take this series.